loves, it's me. It's Tuesday on Facebook. This is my friend Chel. We're going to do that thing where we watch this thing pop up and then share about it. So we're going to be doing a live episode of Medicine Caller. And Chel is an awesome human who's just constantly broadcasting transformative healing medicine for people. So I'm really excited to have her here with me today. And let's see if this is up yet. Come on, little baby.
I'm looking for it.
Oh, all right. There we go. It's popped up for me here. So let's see.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you're such a weird little... There it is. Okay. I'm going to share that. I'm live with Chel Hamilton for Medicine Caller.
So good.
It's recording. Join us for some healing, insightful vibes. Okay.
Bring it, baby.
Bring it. Let's do it. Okay. All right. I'm good on that side.
All right. And I see this here, and I'm going to add to my timeline. And then I'm going to like it. I'm going to like it a lot.
I'm gonna like it.
Let me like it.
Let me like it.
Like it. All right. There we go.
Okay. Here we go.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. So open. It'll be the opening of the podcast here. Okay. Hi, loves, and welcome to Medicine Caller Podcast. They call me Sophia Wise One. I'm your host. We are continuing down this birth tunnel. That's what we're up to right now. We are being birthed, and if anyone's ever been part of a labor, you know it's a dynamic experience. Incredibly, incredibly dynamic. The diversity of sensation, the expansiveness of like the expanding past limited notions. That's absolutely what is alive and awake and happening. And there's so much being let go of, so many questions being asked, so many aspects of our beings being confronted and being asked to be looked deeply, because we have the time and space and we're being pushed into that time and space and held there. So here we are, farther down the tunnel. I'm just going to jump right in here. I have a friend with me today, a majesty of calm and stability and healing.
Except when I'm not.
Except right. Well, yeah, like that's, which is also part of your duty as a incarnated being for the time being. Yeah. So guided meditation artist Chel Hamilton makes things that help people get calm and clear so they can better choose their steps, their next. Wow.
I basically just make things to help people chill out so that they can then go be great and do it from a place of like centeredness and calm and joy. How's that?
So perfect. That's it. Yeah, you're like, that's me. I'm here. I do want to say she produces the Meditation Minis podcast, and they're 10-minute episodes, and she creates the music and she edits them and she puts them together, and they're just these like dives into settling. And she has worked for over a decade as a hypnotherapist, working with people, and has translated that into the online podcast world. So welcome, Chel.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So
good to connect.
Really good to connect. Okay, so here we are. Here now, and I think for many of us who have been doing meditation or practice for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, there's an interesting kind of bombardment of like, okay, I was thinking the other day, like how many times did I wish almost that I was like, I wish everyone would just like stop and sit with themselves. Like, how would the world change if everybody just like stopped, you know? And then at the same time to be in this place of like, I've been thinking about this a lot, which is that like, it takes skills to use that stopping in a constructive way. And so here we are, whether we wanted to be or not to be, really invited to stop. Tell me what you know about that. Like, kind of, you know what I mean? That like little landscape that I just painted, you know?
Yeah, well, it's like a lot of things in life. Like, you can't. So we live in a universe that is apparently full of duality, so that we can know one thing by knowing another thing, right? It's, um, I'm not saying that it's actual duality, but it's apparent duality, because this is how you know the difference between different things, and we navigate in this small spectrum of where we are in the greater reality. So we have been running hard as a collective. We have been running really hard for quite some time. And the signs have been there to like slow down, to take a breather, to stop. It's kind of like if we were talking about breath, it would look like this. This is what we've been doing.
That's yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now it's time to be like, all right. just and as much as what's happening in the world right now is, to be clear, a horrible situation that we would not wish on anyone.
No.
It is also an opportunity to reset and really take a look at what's been working, what's not been working, and make some collective changes.
What do you see as being things that are working and not working? Like, what are, like, we're in this, I keep thinking about how, like, so many different traditions, there's so many prophecies from all over the globe that said we're gonna going on a trajectory, and there'll be a split. It's like, if we don't change where we're heading, we will just destroy ourselves. Like, nothing to worry about. If we don't change anything, we'll just destroy ourselves. That's fine. That's where we're going, right? This split, though, that's where I'm really curious. Like, what is it? What are we taking with us? And like, what are we doing differently? Like, what can you see? What can you feel? Like, personally, like, we do it collectively, and like, what does that mean? What understanding do you have around that? You know, like, what does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't know that I know.
Yeah.
But my feeling around it is that it's hard to talk about this without actually talking about like masculine energy and feminine energy for me. So let's
Go for it.
there.
Let's go there.
And I don't mean male, female, I mean energetically. So masculine energy, it tends to be the energy that gets things done. It's like arrow, it's focused, it's got the blinders on, you know, just going for the thing. And that's beautiful and powerful. And then the feminine energy tends to be much more like noticing all the things, you know, because that's just what that energy is like. You notice all the things, and sometimes it's very overwhelming, and there's so much choice, and it's just this other place. And we collectively have been running, again, in that masculine energy, that like energy for so long. And in order to make this shift, this path change, we have to come back to, and I know it sounds a little cliche, but honoring that feminine and being in that, knowing that there is in that energy a different kind of knowledge, a different kind of understanding, and that we need them both working together rather than making it a right-wrong. So the old path is really this right-wrong, and with different religions, like my religion is the right religion, my way of practicing my religion is better than your way.
Yeah.
We have this spiritual superiority complex.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to have to figure out how to set aside, how to get out of the I'm right, you're wrong, or you're right, I'm wrong conversations, and move towards really paying more attention to all the things that we have in common. Like all of us across the world right now, we want to have a safe place to be. We want health and wellness for ourselves, our family, our community.
Yeah.
We want food that we can eat, clean water, clean air to breathe.
Yeah.
We have so much more in common than we have apart. But certain social structures, financial structures have been created to make us feel like we have less together than we do. Because by dividing, it's the conquer and divide.
Yeah. Like classic sustaining war culture there.
Yeah. So business, entrepreneurship, which I love entrepreneurship. It's got to have sustainability conversations.
Yeah.
I remember about 5 years ago, I actually won a ticket to Tony Robbins' Business Mastery, which is like a $10,000 event to go to before you even pay for travel and hotel. And I was super excited to be there. And I actually launched my podcast just after being there. So some very good things came out of it. I was like, yes, I'm going to do this podcast thing. But I didn't do it to make money. I did it as a lead magnet to connect with people all over the world who might want my hypnotherapy services. So it was more of a vehicle than an outcome, which is another kind of more feminine way of looking at it. It's this thing,
right,
rather than this one thing.
Right.
So I was at Tony Robbins, and I was very lucky to get down front. Not the very front, but close enough to the front that he was like walking by me. And I wish that I had the wherewithal then that I feel like I may have now. Like I've done a lot of work on my fear of confrontation and fear of putting yourself out there. When you have a show, you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Because the thing that pissed me off is that he never talked about sustainability. And, and maybe he's changed, because this is 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But that was the one piece that I was like, that's so missing in the conversation. Like growth for business is great.
Right.
But if you can't sustain it, and if it's causing greater damage to the world around us, to the people around us, it's the $5 t-shirt syndrome. Like when I buy that $5 t-shirt, whose back am I buying it off of, really? Who worked an entire week in a shitty job to get paid $1, and I paid $5 for that t-shirt? That's what gets to change.
Yeah.
That's what gets to change. And I think the Dalai Lama is right when he said that Western women, I can't remember if it was singular or plural, but
I always think that too. I'm like, did he say Western women or the Western woman?
Yeah. Which one was it? I don't know.
Which one was it?
But they will make the change because we understand what it's like to live in this overly growth-focused, masculine, energetic place. And we have the technology, the connection, the money that's going to be necessary to shift.
Yeah. This is really, I'm having a real micro, like I'm having like a heart compassionate response, and I'm having a real micro response because, it's like right here. Because I was running that pattern in my own entrepreneurial business.
Me too.
And it's just like my prayer is just like, how do I sustain? Like, I love my work. I love the medicine. Like, I love the path. I don't want to change any of that, but the way of doing it just constantly, like, it's just so painful and hurtful and made me sick. And I was just like praying about it all this morning again, of just sitting there and just being like, it's not that I don't want to work. I can't handle this perspective and this approach to making money and creating stability and serve, like, they ought not be connected, like this way in which, like, why am I sustained by, like, and to me, I've been right now, it's very much this, like, this deep breath, like this deep feminine answer of just, like, just continuing to have the courage to let it be a question. Just, like, let it be a question. Because it's, like, I just did it recently. I was like, I mean, we'll see, timing is interesting, it's like, who knows in a couple of weeks where I'll be when this show releases, but I did recently kind of had this moment where I was like, okay, I'm ready to, like, take on one-on-one clients again. And I put it out there, and I had one conversation with a person and was like, I don't know if I'm really, like, ready to do this differently now. Like, I don't know if I really know how to do this in a way that is, like, not only sustainable, like, sustainable is essential, and generative is what I want, right? That's, yes, like, really life-giving for everybody.
Yes. Yeah, generative is definitely the second step to sustainability.
Yeah. It's like, as opposed to this depletion pattern that's just, like, yeah, just deplete. It's just like, no, it's not gonna, that's not gonna fly, like, that's not, it's like, and I had like a good rough, tough tangle with the Lord, in my practice the other day, praying to the universe and just being like, I gave you everything. I gave you everything, like, everything I had, I gave you everything, and I would, like, do it again, but, like, can I get a different result, like, giving you everything and coming out, like, empty and so in desperate need of recovery is just, like, and it's like, this is, like, my micro landscape, but it's not unique to me. And I think I thought, maybe even just a few weeks ago, on one level, I thought it was a little bit more personal than it is. I think part of the healing that's happening is this recognition of, like, maybe that's part of that collective piece that I was talking about, right? Is to just, like, remember more and more and more about how we're individually expressing what we collectively know. And so it's like, it's like, so I do all of this, like, my spider work, right, is all of this, like, how can I most directly, like, influence and awaken the collective, and then how do I make space to embody that through myself. I gotta get a tissue.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I have a big tissue right here.
Oh, yeah. So good. So good. I had this moment this whole time, like, early on, when it was like, I'm just like, but my whole life I've just used all my clothing. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, in this, like, containing my fluids has not been what I've been practicing for the past 10 years. Let me tell you what.
Another world out there now.
Yeah. It's trying to really up my... Even I had this moment even with my handkerchief. I was like, is this the right tool right now? Just like, I mean, in my own house, I do my laundry. I think I've returned back to that. But I did have a moment, like, it's like, yeah.
I was doing a live stream, I don't know, a week or so ago, and I have a dog with very fine white hair, and there was, like, a piece or two, like, stuck on my face, and I couldn't get it off, and so I'm, like, touching my face. And somebody wrote me and said, you touch your face like 25 times in the live stream, and I'm like, thank you for keeping me safe. I was home. I used my own computer. Nobody else is touching it. Super sweet.
Thank you. Yeah. Wipe down. Like, just so you know. Just wipe down everything. We do a wipe down dance party here where I'm living right now every day.
Nice.
We just do it. Just wipe everything down.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
It's just like 2 songs, just like all the doorknobs, all the light switches. And then by the time we're done, we've, like, danced and touched everything in the house. And it's a nice little thing to kind of...
It is lovely.
Keep the energy of the house moving. And we do it together, so it happens fast. And yeah, it's a nice thing.
Thanks.
So, okay, that's a great Chel, that's a great answer to my what are we taking with us and what are we leaving behind. It's a great answer. Do you want to say anything? I can kind of, okay. See a thing. So,
nothing's coming up.
Okay, so
except I'm gonna scratch my face now.
Good. Okay. Yeah. This is our like, intentional. I know I'm consciously engaging with my face chapter.
The whole like when you try not to do it, and then it needs to be done.
That's right. That's right. It's also it's been really interesting for me because in my theater training, I talk about status a lot and like how you establish status. And one of the ways that you establish status is this like in like this like very big like body language space that does not involve touching one's own face. That's like you don't touch your own clothing, you don't touch your body, you don't touch your face, like because you're touching everything else with everything, right? Yeah, so it's like it's this thing, and so it's a classic kind of lower status move. And so it was funny to have this combined with when I started to do my podcast live with video, because I was like, oh, I'm like, how much am I, like my acting training is like beep, 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 like going off in the background, like as I'm like, oh, the director in me is turning on. That's like, well, I would actually, my notes, giving myself notes at the end of it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's what I feel like it's like I feel it in my belly. It's like, is this what I know or is this what I don't know? I don't know. It's like, there's this like, so let me see if it's like, I'm going to say it two ways here because I'm not sure how it will make sense when the show gets edited, but I'm going to be doing a ancestral healing ceremony, an ancestral meditation practice. I did it last night for myself, and then I did it again this morning. And when I was doing it this morning, I was like, it was really coming in that like this is a big thing to be offering right now. And one of the things that came in around this ancestral healing that I'm offering and that can be accessed on the online is, if we want to have a different future, we have to tend our past. Right? Like this, like if we do not, if we don't attend to our past, we're like doomed to repeat it. And so I was thinking about this way in which we're being asked to reconcile our inheritances and our ancestry. And I think so much of what you're talking about as a collective, right? What it is for us to really be awake to how we got here, because we got here on the backs and on the lives of, and on the blood and tears and genocide and exploitation, right? And so to look at that collectively, and then to also look at that lineage-wise, like where was abuse and normalization of sacrifice to such a degree passed down, like even just a couple generations back, like where was it that's like, oh, that's just what you do, and like this is the grandmother's job and this is the grandfather's job, and like everybody has to pay their price to suffer, like you have to contribute to the culture that will punish you for existing because that's how you do it, right? That we've been passed down this perspective and this understanding, and that if we want something different, there's a lot of healing and blessing and forgiving. There's a lot of acknowledging, integrating. I think we have a lot of answers that are inside those wounds. We have a lot of that question of like, some of what we know that we want to do is revealed by recognizing what we don't want to do. It's like, well, I don't want to do duality. That. The duality, right, exactly. That's where you started, right? That duality of just being like, no, not that. So if I don't want to do what do I want to do? Sometimes that's the directive.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's typically easier for us to figure out what we don't want. But when we focus on what we don't want, we just create a bunch of negative energy towards that thing. So what you said is exactly like the process. If you only know what you don't want, figure out what the flip side of that is and focus on that, because that's moving you towards something. A don't want is like backing you up from something. And what you want gives you the ability to move forward. So you are in more mastery of what you're doing and less self-victimizing.
it's also where I feel like the feminine, that skill, that rebuilding skill place that we're in is, we've been so kind of collectively tricked out of knowing ourselves that
Yeah.
we don't, it's easy to undermine our clarity and think we don't know. Like, I don't know what's good, and that's like what feels right and what doesn't feel right. And so one of the things that I like to come back to over and over again is like, our bodies are not like lying or confusing. If our like chest opens and our knees open and we like
Right.
lean forward, then that's it. And exactly what you did. You were like, if we're going like this, like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about that. I don't want, then like, that's a no.
Yeah.
That's like a no. And so using our unconscious or our subconscious body as a tool to help us kind of get better in sync with our conscious mind, because our conscious mind is navigating so many stories and constructs that are like tricky, right? Like, it's like, I'm trying not to use the word gaslighting, but I'll just say it, like this notion of just like the control of the narrative as we're coming into steadying in that. And I think that's important for people that are just coming to this, right? Of just being like, how do I know? I think that's, so the first thing I'll say is that's just being confused is like an important thing to trust, right? Like, that's what I was saying, of just being like, oh, let me just be confused right now. Like, that's to like let the grip loosen is part of the remedy right now, is to just like not have a quick answer, and then to cultivate this knowing or this trust of the body as a signal of like, are you here for it? If you're not here for it, like, if, are you showing up for it? I know for me, I've been having a hard time showing up for those visualizations or those clarifications in me, just as I've been in my like grief and my heart, like my fear space, like it's I don't want to, it's like I'm doing this to any, like, it doesn't, it's like a good idea or an inspiring aligned thing is still too scary. Chel, I know you know what I'm talking about. Tell us about that. What do we do? Like, what is that? I'm like, you have something for us here.
I mean, part of what's happening right now is that for those of us who are empathic, it's energetically super overwhelming. Like, that's the reality of the world that we are in right now, because so many people are scared and confused. Yeah. So many people don't know how they're going to, pay rent, or if their parents are going to be alive in 2 weeks. So giving ourselves permission to just go, okay, the reality of the world right now is that there's a lot of energy getting tossed around. And so part of what happens is we want to protect ourselves from that energy, from putting ourselves out in a way that we worry will deplete us, like you said. And there is no one answer except that it gets to be some sort of dance. And we have to remember to breathe slow and deep. Especially if you're putting stuff out in the world, that's like singing, right? Like, you're singing a song out into the world. And if you're breathing all, you can't sing a song.
Yeah.
So just breathe deep and sing and let it be imperfectly what it is.
Do you have a song?
Not off the top of my head now. Do you have a song?
Usually. I'm gonna invite one to come knock on my door. Yeah. To sing, bring. I just like went into space. Yeah. Breathe and deep.
It's kind of like we have been collectively walking around with a broken leg that healed up, 30 years ago, and has never been right, like, not in a right wrong, but it just doesn't work properly.
Yeah.
It's caused chronic pain.
Yeah.
It's kept us from doing things, and we've just had the leg rebroken so that it can be put back together in a way that allows it to function. That's my hope for what's happening. Like, it's broken right now. Everything's broken. And let's take it as an opportunity to reset it in a way that it can function more fully, more wholly, more beautifully. And the kinds of people who would be listening to this show or watching the live stream, it's you. Like, this is your opportunity to say, okay, I personally am going to take responsibility in my sphere of influence with love, not judgment, but with love. You know, we're not going to be like, I'm right, you're wrong. No, with love, that this is a beautiful opportunity for us to reset things in a way so that they can function more together rather than it having to be this way or that way. It's interesting to me, as we were talking, thinking about religion, and because I have a guided meditation show and I've done proper Buddhist, style, and I've read a lot, maybe not as much as other people. But one thing that I found really interesting is when you were talking about like closing versus opening and using your body as that message vehicle, that when you open, so that's the path of desire, that's tantric. And tantric has gotten a super bad rap about being all about sex. And again, there's other people who have read more than me, but on the research that I have done on Tantra, a lot of the yogis were female, more so than any other lineage. Mm-hmm. And so isn't it interesting that the feminine path of desire, of letting our desires be our guide, is so maligned and misaligned, whereas the more head-spaced idea that we get in a lot of the Buddhist stuff and the men and the monks and all the is the thing that is thought to be the thing. Yes. Yeah. It's the higher thing. It's the better thing. Yeah. And in my meditation podcast, it's guided, so it's not subscribing to any religious belief, although I've read things across the board. I used to live in Istanbul, Turkey when I was a teenager, so I was around Islam, and that was super interesting. So my perception on what all of these things are is really different, I think, because of my experiences. And the thing about humans that I think we forget is that there's no other creature on this planet that is so driven to create, innovate, and explore that we will literally kill ourselves to do it. If we have godlike qualities, I think those must be it. Because dolphins are awesome, but I have not seen one build like a dry suit so it can go walking around downtown LA. Haven't seen that happen. Right. But we are so driven to create and innovate and explore. These are our gifts. If we want to make some sort of change in what's happening, it's by embracing those gifts of humankind and know that this is what our jam really is. And to do it with love, compassion, and playfulness. Sign me up. Let's just do that.
Let's do that. That's what I'm here for.
Just do that.
It's totally what I'm here for.
Celebrate the creativity. Celebrate the adventure.
That's, yes, that. I started to have extreme pelvic pain. I didn't realize this kind of until way after, but I had started to have pelvic pain in my early 20s, but didn't really keep track of it. And then I had some super incredible, powerful healing sex and did some very deep ceremony, and then within a couple weeks, my whole pelvic floor just went into spasm. It was just like shut the fuck down. It was like no. And I said to my partner at the time, I said, the temple is closed for restoration. This shit is like,
temple is closed for restoration. I love that.
Temple is closed for restoration. It was real times. It took 6 years for me to release that pelvic pain pattern, that communication. What I had to learn and begin to integrate into my being and way of life was, turns out, incredibly similar to Tantra. What my body taught me, right? At the root, what the temple taught me. The temple was like, I will open my doors when you do the following things.
Yes.
When you say what you want, when you respect your own no's, when you celebrate other people's no's.
Yeah.
Like, my temple loves your no, like loves it. Like, she is just like, like, thank you so much, because I'm not made responsible. When you tell me no, that means that you're not making me responsible. Just like centuries, just fading off.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Really powerful. Really powerful. Loving your no, loving your yes, even if I can't fulfill it, right? Loving what you want, even if it's not mine, and literally my voice, like my throat, the shutdown of my throat and the shutdown of my root. And for me, an even deeper, because I had already been doing reclamation of my menstrual practices and, self-identified blood witch, like menstruum time, and red tent practicing, temple practicing. And the dakinis, it's like, nobody, if you don't know what the dakinis are, I'm not going to be the formal educator for you right now. Go look them up. If I say that word and like your cells light up, hey sister, hey. Yes, dakinis.
Exactly. Go Google it.
Yeah, go Google it. Winged magisterium, divine feminine initiators, guides, powerful beings. And I'm feeling called, right now, like in this episode with you, me right now with you, listener with you, watching, like the invitation that I'm feeling, like, it's like I asked for a song and like what showed up was like a wave of dakinis. So I guess the song is this. So I didn't know that's where this was going. Okay. Okay. This is a song. This is a round by Libiana. They've been around a long time. I'm gonna like I'll put in a link like to their music, because they're good. So really simple, and it's a round, which I don't know if you, I don't know, look at your face right now. I don't know if we're gonna you're like,
but
we'll just,
what are you trying to get me into, girl?
We don't have to do it as a round. It's a good one to just sing to yourself. But it's really,
I realize this is karaoke.
Yeah, I didn't know. I should never warn anyone about that. Never warn anyone. It's like, little did you know, Medicine Caller is actually just a karaoke show. At minute 34 is like, okay, here's when we sing Ritual Fire Circle karaoke. Let's go. Okay.
I love it. Bring it.
So it's really simple. It's just one, I guess. I guess it's like one line. It's like one sentence. Just, and you can sing it, or I can sing it for a long time, decades apparently. And we'll see how it goes. There's a river of birds in migration. Sing it. There's a river of birds in migration, a nation of women with wings. That's not how that tune goes. What did I just sing? A nation of women with wings. Yeah. There's a river of birds in migration. There's a river of birds in migration. A
You do it much better than I do
nation
it.
of women with wings. So I'll just sing that. I'll just sing it straight through a number of times. We'll just invite and just sing it straight through.
Okay.
We're gonna invite the dakinis. And this is the part. There's a river of birds in migration. A nation of women with wings. There's a river of birds in migration. A nation of women with wings. There's a river of birds in migration. A nation of women with wings. There's a river of birds in migration. A nation of women with wings. There's a river of birds in migration. A nation of women with wings. It's a river of birds in migration, a nation of women with wings.
So beautiful. Yeah, I would have messed that up. You did a beautiful, beautiful job. That was lovely.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's a good time. I liked your smiles. I was like, is it around or just I think it's harmonic.
I can feel it all. It's just like, yeah. I feel them.
If they hear it, it's like so. That's like one of like the summonings of this is like look up the images of dakinis. Like, Caitlin, throw in some. Let's like look up some dakini links. Let's just like throw in some links for people to go and check out. And yeah, what feels important about this right now is, the Dakini is the awakener and the initiator of the feminine, of the divine feminine, right? So there's a nation of humans with wings, divinely embodied feminine humans with wings, right? So I've been wondering when I'm finally going to like release my gender pronoun reveal. Oh my God, a gender reveal party. It's a whole new.
Oh no. I love it.
Oh, it's really good. It's really good because my actual preference, the reason I'm like so it's like I just don't quite know what to say when people do it is because my actual preference is I love the feminine, masculine, like role, title, duality, framework, feminine, masculine, like interplay, how they match and optimize like in a being, right? Like that makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. And so like I was married to a woman, and one of my favorite things to do was brag about how I was such a good husband, like loved it, and was just like, and like there she is, like being her husband, and like, look at me, like I'm such a good wife. Like when I was like being a really good wife, I was like,
right.
Hi. I am very charming. And, like I love that. And I was like, so my actual preference with pronouns is like use the pronoun that's referencing the role that you're referencing me doing in, like that makes sense to me. Yep. And so I think about like the dakinis and the idea of woman, right? Being like the woman in this concept is the embodiment of the divine feminine. You can that's what that is. And so it's like, it's an invitation for anyone and everyone. That works for me. I've also spent a lot of time reclaiming and re-identifying and redefining what woman, what man, in a way of seeing wholeness in those places, in a way of honoring the dejected, perverted, tangled, aching mess that was, I would say, handed to me, right? Like culturally and inherently, just being like, no, thank you. And so like this invitation for our divine feminine to like whoosh, take flight, right? Like to take flight. And one of the things that I know, I learned this in some of my sex journeys in the past year, when I was really participating in my sexuality in a way that I had not before. This like deep listening, deep prayer, letting myself pray out loud for as long as I wanted before anything else happened. Like finally letting myself just be like, oh, it's like my temple is open. Like the temple, it's like, this is how I like it, you know? So really just like praying, and then realizing that I could like be loved on for a really long time and like not want to give anything back, to a degree that I was like, am I just like a terrible lover? Like this is, I mean, they're having a good time, so like I guess not, but like, you know, like this moment. And then I kept watching it happen where it was like I would like fill and fill and fill, and then I would just like, and then it was like everything was like, I am here. Lean back. I've got this. Like you have done everything you need. I'm ready to destroy all notions of possibility and take you to another world.
The tiger has awakened.
Yes, exactly. Like
just shred into you right now.
Just like, I'm ready. I'm so ready. But this notion of like, it's like, I still do, you know, it's like, I could just fill and fill and fill. And I think that's important to like keep in mind right now. I think as each of us are kind of circling or cycling through this process of filling deeper and deeper, and this collective like big stop. It's not just like, here's 3 days, right? It's like at week 3, how much are you still taking in? How much are you feeding that feminine? I remember I did a ritual to Venus one night, and it was literally 7 hours of fire, and we were eating like chocolate cake, and like the fire was doing wild stuff, and like it was just like, it was so fun. It was like me and 3 friends, and we were just, it was a Venus transit like years ago, and we were watching Venus. She was so close and so bright, and just like, it was just luscious, you know? And at the end of that, it was like late in the night, you know, like 4 a.m. I like I don't know why I just got shy, but I'm just like, this is like, if there are children listening, I don't know. You should like, maybe this is like, just like maybe pause this for just explicit sex content coming. So I just like, I had this moment where I was just like, oh my gosh. And I like put on this cock and like woke up my lover and was just like, I prayed to the goddess all night. I am so filled that like, I am just like fucking like hard cock ready to fuck you. Like it was just this like wild thing. And so I want to kind of bring in that like energy, that understanding of like what happens when we allow the feminine to be in her fullness. It doesn't lead to, it's a lie that we've been told that leads to a laziness and a lack of activity. Just like, no, not at all. It's like the nature of the feminine is like, it like fills and then it gives, just like gives, it like wants to in its fullness. So that's what knocked.
Yeah, like that seed is there, and then it explodes out of the little seed shell, and then it explodes up out of the dirt, and then it explodes branches and shit, and then it explodes flowers and fruit. Like there's a lot of explosion in the feminine.
There's a lot of explosion in the feminine. It's true. It's true. Like I said, the containing of fluids that's not been my practice for the past 10 years in my cultivation of the divine feminine. No, I'll tell you what, not the case. No. Yeah. Oh, it's good. It's good. It's like the other thing that I just really appreciate about this conversation right now is just how even this conversation to me just feels so nourishing. There's this like, you know, just like talking about it and just like, you know, just like naming it and brewing it. There's this softness, there's this playfulness, there's this possibility, there's this like the edges, you know, the like there's a permeability. That feels good. That feels good. Yeah, that feels really good.
Yeah, we get to have more of that.
Say it again.
We get to have more of that.
That's a relief. It's a real relief. It's a real relief. It's been, again, speaking to that empath place of, of just connecting and just honoring some of those waves of just like, I've had real moments in this time recently that I haven't felt in decades, since like,
Yeah, me too.
just
Me too.
like just not being interested in being on the planet moments, feelings of just being like, I did not sign up for this, like I don't want to be here, like this is so shitty. Like, this is like not fun.
Yeah.
So it feels really good to just kind of be connecting to that energy that believes in life while things are like dying, while
Yeah.
people and systems and structures, and that I think is also really important to remember, is like that the feminine holds that heartbeat of potentiality, of like the vision of what's possible when things feel impossible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to invite you and anybody listening. I know that the energy can be overwhelming. And sometimes we get to just acknowledge that it is and throw a little temper tantrum about how we don't want to be here in this moment. Right?
Yeah.
So let it just be like, take a couple deep breaths and get back to it. And other times I found it really helpful just to like acknowledge it and let the energy pass. Like I don't
Yep.
have to let it stick in me.
Yeah.
It just is.
It just
It
is.
just is.
I'm going to stick with this like divine feminine angling that we're like in right now, and just really tap into that divine mother energy. That's like sometimes the baby's crying and you need to feed it, and you need to change it, and you need to rock it, and you need to like entertain it, and like that's what it is. And sometimes the baby's crying. There's a baby cries. And like to just like have the heart and the trust in the self that says like, you have what you need, and like it's okay. This is what being a baby's like sometimes. This is what being like a collective planet is like sometimes. Like that's just it. And like being in that confident mother place, it's like, no, I know you have what you need, and I can laugh at my friend's joke, and I can like, while the baby's crying, it's like that. I can like let that happen and love, it's like, and if I hear something that's really needed, like I can trust myself to know the difference between that. I really,
Absolutely.
really appreciate that. I appreciate that as a third option because I've been looking at kind of two options of like either letting myself like transmute it by just like throwing a tantrum and just being like, "Prah," and then like calling my friends and being like, I'm at my edge. Or being like, I will drop into medicine transformer and like drop in for the collective and like transmute for the collective and do the work for the collective. And those have been both really useful tools. And this like remembering of like that ability to be in, I feel like it's like you just like reminded, there's this part of me that's like, see, I've been trying to tell you. Like my faith is just like, that's what I was saying. Just thank you, Chel. So it's my faith is like, thank you, Chel, for reminding Sophia that like there's a real peacefulness to be had by just knowing that this is the sound of process.
Yes.
That this is the sound. This is the sights and the sounds of process. I've been thinking about this a lot. In terms of the long game of the collective healing around the Me Too movement. And that the first voice of injustice after silencing, right, is anger. And
Of course.
and it's the force that breaks the silence, right? And so, because I went to this women's march and I said, have they sung? Like, did they sing anything? Like, it was ending and they were like, no. And I was like, you just gathered for hours at a women's march and nobody sang? And I was like, they just yelled the whole time from the podium, And then I walked, I was like, yes, like that's right. That's the sound of the collective doing that. I said, and then the grief will come and then the songs will come. And that's what it is. That's just like, that's the sound of healing. That's what it's like for us personally. We scream, we weep, we sing. And we do that in any order, in all the orders, over and over and over again, you know. So.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be linear.
No. It's like you're weeping and you're screaming and you're weeping and you're singing and you're raging and you're singing. Yeah.
You're like, wait, you're singing. I thought that meant you were done.
Right.
Like, I thought it's supposed to be linear. So you're done now, right? You're done. No,
Yeah,
I'm not done.
Yeah, that linear story inside the divine feminine. Womp womp. Yeah, that's like a punchline in and of itself.
Totally.
Yeah.
But sometimes we do that to ourselves too, right? We're like, wait, I thought I was over this by now. I did all the things and I thought I was over it. And why is it coming up again? What's wrong with me? I must be broken.
Yeah.
No, you're just non-linear.
It's just, this just in. Again, over, right? Exactly. This just in again. It's cycles. It's a cycle situation. Yeah. I've been, you said it and I'm going to say it again because I feel like I'm just like taking it in. So if I'm just taking it in, like we're all just kind of taking it in layer by layer, just like this collective piece, like this piece where like I'm like having a day and I'm like doing what I can. And then it's just like, I'm not saying anything. The diligence of remembering that the collective vibrational energetic landscape is like real behaving very differently is something that I think that is something that I keep forgetting. And it's like literally what I teach. It's like the only thing I talk about all the time. And I'm like multiple times a day just being like, God, I don't know why I feel so terrible right now. I don't understand. Like, why do I feel so, I took care of this, I took care of that, I took care of that. And I just feel so terrible. It's like, oh shit. Like I'm so used to being able to drop in, take care of my own stuff, do a round of collective medicine or whatever, like living my life this way and then be able to just kind of have a few hours, have a day. And yeah, so it feels really important to just be like, yeah, it's a real, and that it's like, and that it comes in waves, right? That like, there's like a, that it's maybe not constant.
Yeah.
Like it is constant on some level, but it's tides, right? So it's the tides that it's like, it's coming in and out with tides. Yeah. What do you do about the tides?
What can we do about the tides? You want to build a wall?
No, thank you.
It might work for a while.
No.
And then we'll build some stuff behind the wall and then the wall will break and all that stuff will be destroyed anyway. You ride them, you surf them, you look at them, you enjoy them. Sometimes you go, those are really big waves coming. I should probably back up.
Yeah. Right.
So what I'm hearing you say is that, like most of us, you've been doing things that help you be in some sort of alignment. Mm-hmm. And you've done those things for a long time, and it's helped you manage things in the world, manage your gifts, manage your ability to interact. And most of us had to learn these things when we were teenagers, because that's when like everything for most people starts to hit. The hormones come and we're awakened to new possibilities in the world, because our worlds literally expand when we go to middle school and high school. Like middle school, oh my gosh, middle school is just awkward.
Yeah.
But for that, we're very insulated. Even though we're in elementary school, we're still very insulated. So we learned how to manage things when we were teenagers. This is a whole other level.
Yeah.
This is like going back to being a teenager again, when our world completely changed. So yes, we get to manage, but we also get to navigate and have that ease to be the surfer rather than building the wall against the waves. and it's a both and. It's not one thing or another.
Yeah.
It's a toolbox. Earlier when you were talking about like the third way, I was thinking, oh yeah, it's like we had a hammer and we had a screwdriver, and now we've remembered that there's pliers.
Right. I always love a third option because once there's a third option, there's a million options. That's like, it's like, I always know that. It's like once I hit, sometimes once I hit a second option, I know there's a million options, but that feeling of like, once I break past that duality, it's that like, oh yeah, it's like it's like it becomes limitless again. That notion,
It's
pliers.
literally in a toolbox. If you had a hammer and a screwdriver and you don't have pliers, there's a lot of stuff you can't fix.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Bash on it?
No, you want like a, it's different. It's different. It's a different tool.
Pliers are good.
Love pliers. Wrench. Love me a good wrench. I'll tell you what. Yeah.
Well, wrench, pliers. I mean, you could have either or.
It's touche. Just, I was thinking, different shapes, and some of them get in, like needle nose pliers. You know what I mean? Like that's like I love me a needle nose. That's like it's a real, use those needle nose. You know what I mean? It's like if I'm down to minimal, I want my needle nose. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I have like 2 closing questions if we're in that zone. I don't know if you have anything else that feels, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, my second to last question is, where do you, well, obviously, go listen to Meditation Minis, your podcast, where if people, love you and dig you because they're brilliant, and that's a good, it's a good match. I mean, sure, no pressure. So it's a good match. Where do you like to be found? Where do you like to be found? So, yeah.
I love it when listeners write me, and it's literally Chel at meditationminis.com.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. So yeah, go check out her podcast. Send her a message.
Send me a message. Yeah. I mean, I'm on social media to some degree, but not hugely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is what the show has become, which is like my last question is like what we've been talking about the whole time. So, so I want to invite you to like drop into that visionary, like deep seeing place, and journey out a little ways, like journey through the mountain pass. So we've taken this split and we've chosen as a collective to create that new world. We have a healed leg. What does life look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? It doesn't need to be it can be everything. It can be a piece. Just like what's a part that you can see, that you know. And take your time.
There'll be less people in the cities. People are going to decide that they do want closer knit, less busyness. Work will forever be changed. Like how we work, where we show up will forever be changed and altered. I'm not saying that people won't go back to office buildings. They will, but not the way they've been doing it. I think that people will be talking more about sustainability because the systems are breaking down. How do we ensure that when the trucks don't go to the grocery stores, that people can still eat? More community gardens with food. So to some degree, I don't want to say a return to nature, but I do think that we will no longer trust the linear systems that we have created. And we are going to start to want to honor more of the holistic systems, like maybe growing some lettuce in a pot. Doesn't have to feed us all year round. But doing more of that.
Chel, I really want to appreciate your spaciousness, your presence, your insight, your compassion, your kindness, and your humor, your lightheartedness in this space. I really want to thank you for bringing so much, just your beauty, so much of the beauty of who you are to be with us today. I feel really, really blessed and really grateful to have shared your presence with my listeners. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to say,
It's been really beautiful.
good. I'm so glad. Facebook darlings, you're a treasure. Thanks for being with us, and can check the whole edit of this will be released on Medicine Caller podcast, and happy to go have you check out that and go check out other episodes, get some medicine, some dosage. And I want to let people know that I am offering two essentially masculine and feminine healing courses coming up, and they're sliding scale. They're spaces. One is pelvic floor. I'm doing a pelvic floor root care retreat. I'm going to do a couple days. We're going to go deep and do some deep healing and nourishment of the feminine. And I'm doing a divine masculine based course. I'm doing a how to manifest, getting clear on your vision, and working with a number of different practices to kind of use that focused energy. So if you want to know more about those, right? It's good stuff. If you want to know more about those, join my email list. The link is in the show notes for that, or come, or just DM me, send me a message anywhere and say, send me more details. Darlings, I love you. I have always loved you. I will always love you. I'm grateful for your presence. Nobody's here by accident. That includes you. Thank you for your medicine. Thank you for your beauty. Thank you for who you are. Who you are is enough. You didn't fuck it up. It's not too late. And change is correct and desirable, as my mother likes to say. Change is correct and desirable. All right. Love to all. Peace to all. Satnam. Bye, loves. Bye.